leather gloves, we're slapping in hams. Popcorn and peanuts, we're working the stands. Pink cotton candy, love on a stick. He's chasing the beer that circle the lips. Play ball, play ball. Load up the bases and smack it right over the wall.
Play ball.
Play ball.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Laughter Saves Live. Live! Here at Strong Island Radio and Television, Facebook Live. We're back. We have Patty G in tonight, Stevie Oliva, and we have
The great
John Santo here tonight. Bailing on us tonight is Frank Fiella and Pat Marone. They are on assignment, which means they did not want to come in. It's too hot. That's it.
On assignment sounds very official.
Very
I
important.
should have ended right there, but people know us.
Sounds very important.
So it's nice to be in tonight. We had a great Laughter Saves Lives weekend with the shows.
We did.
It was what we're all about. So we'll talk about them a little bit because I know why Steve came in tonight. Steve wasn't feeling well and he told me he wasn't going to be here. And then he remembered that he has to talk about my St. Albans set.
I may not be feeling well, but as usual, I'm looking spectacular.
Oh,
Yes.
What's wrong with you?
Yes, he had a
I
little
have a head cold from here to here.
Little
It's like a nose,
nose
sinus.
thing going on.
It's like an eyebrow cold.
What happens when you get punched in the face for too many years?
Yeah, we can tell.
Friday night, Throgs Neck, New York, the Bronx.
The Bronx.
Laughter Saves Lives heads up to the Bronx to do a show for
Gino.
Gino Sharella.
Gino Sharella.
Gino Sharella. I would say he's 20s, young
20,
20s.
24.
Oh, you got his
24.
age. You are so good. He is so efficient. 24 years old. He's suffering from
Hodgkin's disease.
He was at the show. You could hear it in his voice.
The radiation tends to really wreck the vocal cords. Yeah.
And they raised some good money for him, and it was a great night. The green room was on the water, right?
Oh,
With
beautiful.
a view of the Throgs Neck and the Whitestone Bridge.
And the Bronx River lit
Outside.
up. Yeah.
I
We
wanted
did
to
the
share
show
the picture.
outside in the
Yeah.
backyard. Barbecue was on our left, a door to go inside. Over here was a little bar, door to go into the main bar, and the stage is right here. Outside, people talking, eating
Picnic
burgers,
tables,
picnic tables. A lot of young people. You think this night was going to be a disaster. I think we all felt going in, this is going to be a tough night.
Thank God I got paid before the show.
Well, we did. We were worried, right?
We were worried. Oh,
Then,
yeah.
then
Anytime you go to the Bronx, it could be a tough night.
could be a tough night. We were worried that the show was going to go bad. Patty G went up, and we said, "Yeah, this is going bad.
Yeah.
It's going downhill." But then we picked it up.
Then I found out John's headlining. And
Oh yeah, he says to me, "Who's headlining tonight?" I go, "I am," and he goes, "Oh." I go, "What?" He goes, "Oh, no, nothing." His shoulders like hunched, and he was almost like it was such a disaster, and you know what I mean?
Yes.
I know exactly what you mean.
You know, how do you have confidence after that in an audience like that to go up and headline now when
And
your
then-
own
and
guys?
Then I lighted him after 15
What do you mean?
minutes.
What do you mean, your own guys? What did I say to you? I didn't say that.
You said jump in the river quick.
No, I said you're gonna kill. You always worry, and then you kill for 45,
Yeah.
50 minutes.
I
or
mean,
an
it was
hour,
terrific.
And then you're like, oh yeah, I guess I can.
MC
So-
was very good despite some extenuating circumstances.
The
I
end?
build up the comic before.
It was
the
not
show,
easy.
as
It was
opposed
not
to letting
easy.
the comic down.
Well, you were right near the water performing, right?
Yes.
We were on the
Beautiful
sound.
night.
Yeah.
And I got to say one thing seriously about the
I
Red
heard
Wood
there were
Club.
fish beaching themselves during John's set.
They had a beautiful 911 memorial.
Oh, they
in
did.
the back.
I have pictures of it.
It is really, really
A lot of
nice.
firemen and cops are members there.
Yeah,
It's called
I'll share the pictures in the
Very
comment. In
blue
fact, I
collar.
should do
the
that.
Redwood Club. It was called.
Very, very typical rough Bronx crowd.
Yeah,
but they
and
were
rough
they were
room.
great.
It was a rough.
They were good.
Yeah, they were good.
Salt of the earth.
I can't
salt
share
of
the
earth.
pictures.
Salt of the earth. That's exactly what it was. Salt of the earth type people. But at one point, I'm in the back, and I think you were on stage, and I'm looking at Frank, and I go, "Look where Pat's sitting." He's sitting directly behind the comic. There's like a little, because of the way it was set up, But I just found it so funny. And he's on stage, and Patty's like this, like this.
Were you like Donald Trump against Hillary Clinton in the debates?
You know, I
Lurking in the
He goes,
background?
get a picture. I don't know if he heard us.
I
All of a
can't-
sudden,
I can't stand on my feet for too long, so I got to sit. And I just said, you know what? I'm tired of wandering around this place.
Yeah, let me sit
And I
behind the
always
counter.
want to be around in case something goes wrong. You know.
Well,
and something did go wrong.
people would, I mean, we got them back, but
It was a tough night.
In between every comic, they were getting chatty, and they thought like they could.
Well,
talk, and
the
they
club
weren't
had
allowed
their
to talk.
bar there.
Well,
to the right, and they were getting round.
We did good.
Yeah,
They
we
were
did.
happy with the show. We raised some money for the kid. It was a really good night. It was a really good night.
Yeah.
The guy who ran the club got a little tipsy, and by the time I got up there,
yeah.
he is heckling the crowd. It wasn't even heckling. He was talking to me, talking to me throughout the whole set. So he's sitting over here with a white shirt on. We all wore the white shirts for the kid. I don't know. He gets up. He sits with his white shirt in his seat. I'm thinking the guy's still there. He moves over here to the tree. All of a sudden, he starts heckling me from over here. And I go, oh my God, there's two of them now. Because I didn't see him move. So it was a good night. Then on Saturday, Patty G went. We have Laura as our guest today. She'll be
Yes.
coming out soon. Did our Northport show. And I have to tell you right up front, we bust his chops all the time. He's the new guy on the show. And the reason we bust his chops is it's easy. But he runs this Northport show for me. This is probably the fourth time.
Yeah, I think.
You know, I ran the first few, and he's run them. Thank you for doing that. They do a nice job out there in Northport. They do it in the nursing home. We get some family members, which we love. 38 people he had this
38
time.
people,
That's
yeah.
a big crowd for
Yeah.
the hospital shows.
Yeah, yeah.
And we had Fat Jay Christopher
Was very good, very good.
and Jack Clunan.
Jack Clunan, yeah.
Jack Clunan, who's an amazing story. We had him on the show, Jack.
Wow,
We had
what
Jack
a
on the
story
show,
that
yeah.
guy's
He's
got.
had everything
Whoa.
transplanted
4
and
liver transplants.
liver and teeth.
Unbelievable.
Tell
Yeah.
him how old he is.
He's
20s, right?
He's had numerous. He has all artificial teeth
Yeah,
or replaced.
yeah.
I did a show with him, and he drank too much cold water and ice. And he got yeah, right. And I go, Jack, you have to pronounce your things. Pronounce a little better. I know you have your teeth. He goes, Johnny. He goes, I wasn't thinking. I drank all this cold stuff when I got up there. I go over here. He's a great guy. And then on Sunday, we're back to St. Albans, our original show. Stevie over here emceed the show. We had Anthony Kapfer with the guitar.
Yes.
Frank
yeah.
Fiala opened up the show.
On the road here.
We had a fun day. We had a fun
Yeah,
night.
It was fun. It was,
And we had some hecklers there too. I love when the guys heckle. I love when they think
well, no,
that
I mean, one of the gentlemen, this is an odd thing. It's almost like not a heckle. It was basically, it looked like a town hall meeting. He was just having a conversation throughout the whole set.
Yeah.
You know, I ended up talking to him afterwards.
Did he laugh at all your set? He didn't break a smile when I was
He
up.
laughed. He couldn't stop laughing.
You know,
All right, there you go.
Oh.
He was
just
busting my
my set.
balls, and I said to him at one point, "You weren't liking any of this?" And he went, "No."
No,
but
but he,
They're entitled.
he just,
I was just gonna say that
he
vets-
wanted the company. It was more of a social thing to him.
Yes.
Right.
You know, and that's how
But
he
people
goes.
should realize when they come to other Laughter Saves Live shows, they're going to get a great show and laugh their ass off. We don't
put
want
on
them to think that we're terrible.
That is.
No, we are just stupendously
I got a
fantastic.
little tickle, you know. The way I feel about the veteran shows is they get the professional show that everybody else gets.
Yes. And a lot
know-
of them do laugh, but you know,
They're
sometimes-
entitled.
Sometimes they just yell F you out. Remember that
That's
guy?
fine too. Yeah.
That guy was fun.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
how do you not laugh at that?
And not to be reminisce of, we lost a true American hero, John McCain. I just wanted to mention that on the show because I always respected this man for what he went through. Just to go into the military and what he went through in that prisoner of war camp, none of us can imagine the
7 years he was in a
I think it was 5. Was it
5.5.
In the
Look,
Hanoi
I don't care
Hilton.
if it's a week. I got sent to my room for 10 minutes as a kid. I cried for hours.
Exactly.
But do you
And
know
this
how-
guy was 7, 5 or 6, whatever it was.
And he could have left, and he didn't.
They communicated with other prisoners by
Tap
tapping
it on the wall.
Morse code, like
Morse
this
code on the wall. So I had
talk to my
to.
neighbor sometimes. She
I-
doesn't like it at all, though.
I don't.
Can I tell the story about his father? What his father did?
Yes.
Real quick. When his father was the commander-in-chief of Pacific Forces, he used to go to visit the troops near the DMZ at Christmas time in South Vietnam. And alone, he'd go as far north as he could.
Yes, I
to
saw
get
it.
as close to his son as he could on Christmas.
Right.
And he just looked north.
And
And the other troops would be like,
Really?
he's got a son up north,
Yeah.
captured. and that he figures that's as close as he can.
Yes,
do.
yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Bobby, before we run our commercial, could we just run the flyers that you have for the shows? Oh, there it is. For the shows coming up. Friday, September 14th, we're at St. Margaret's, my old elementary school,
Oh.
Middle Village, Queens,
I'm
where
in
Patty
that
grew
show.
up. Johnny Santos on that show. Maureen Langen is headlining.
Our hometown.
Fantastic.
Patty's doing a set at the show. It's going to be
Yeah.
a great night. We're raising money for the school scholarship fund or something like
Who
that.
else is on the
That's your grammar
show?
school? Maybe
Who else is? You're on the show.
You're on the show.
I'm on the show. I said that.
Right.
My flyer's there.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, if you're in Queens near there, come to that show. Now we have the next one, Baldwin. This is a new flyer this week. Just hired. Our MC is Mike Keegan. He's not on the flyer yet. Jamie Gravy, just up from Texas, just moved up here. I met him out
Oh.
there. We're putting Jamie on. He won some contest in Boston. He's pretty good. And we got John Consoli and Bob DeBono.
Wow.
That is a powerhouse
What
lineup.
is that show?
That show is it's on the flyer there. October something.
And next year,
there
I
it is, there it
I
is.
can do that show again.
October 13th. What does it say? I
Well,
can't
maybe,
read that.
John.
I can't see it either. But next year will be 7 years, so I can be.
That's
on.
it.
I
The
put you on
7-year
another
itch.
show.
19.
19th.
Thank you.
October 19th, Baldwin
I
Fire
mean, that
Department.
one I can be
Wait a
on
minute.
that
That's
one.
on
Yes.
the night of the gala?
No, we do that show every year. No, he's reading the wrong
No,
flyer.
the gala's
That's right.
October 19th.
That's October 13th. Next flyer, the big one, October 19th, Babylon, American Legion, the Laughter Saves Lives almost gala, because we're not too snooty. It's not really 13th either flyer. It's not really a gala in memory of my mom. It's going to be a great night. We're doing the show, I say memory of my mom, but we're doing the show in memory of the guys that went down in the helicopter crash from the 106th. Two FDNY guys. And we are honoring Captain Bocci, who was the captain in hazmat after 9/11. He came back to our company after we lost both captains that were vying for the spot. He had just got promoted from lieutenant and ran every funeral, walked with the widows and the moms. Every funeral this man did that. And the families became very close to him. We're honoring him. We have another flyer. Oh, yeah, Everything Special Needs and Angela's house. We're doing this show in November.
Oh, that's right. The VFW Hall in Lynbrook.
VFW.
That's right.
We have Leanne Lord on that show. And so that's that.
When is that show?
That show is in November. I think I want to say
16th.
16th.
You got one
16.
comic?
Next thing. No, we're going to add. We're going to add.
okay.
We're going to add.
That's at the Lynbrook VFW Hall.
Lynbrook VFW. So we have a bunch of shows coming up.
Lynbrook.
We have a lot of the players on the show. Did I put you on? What show did I just put you on? Was it this
I think
one?
I'm booked in 2024 for VFW.
7 years.
Can we show the commercial for
Seven-
Life Vac?
When you go back to St. Margaret, you gonna finally get your diploma?
Let's go to Life Vac, and we'll bring out a guest, Laura from Northport. Life Vac.
Laura,
And don't forget, we got to read
press
MSN.
this. Make sure the green light is on.
We're still on.
Okay.
Life Vac. You know we're still on. You're moving.
Saving lives.
We're still on?
We're still on. There's Laura. See? Still on.
Set change. So now people can see like a behind
There
the
we go.
scenes
Yeah,
thing.
that's right.
When someone is choking, brain damage can occur after just 4 minutes. Did you know every 5 days a child dies because of a choking accident?
My name is Art Lee. I invented LifeVac to protect my family. LifeVac is an easy-to-use suction device with a special one-way valve to help save a choking victim.
I care for my dad who's prone to choking. Having LifeVac in my home gives me peace of mind.
Protect your family. Buy LifeVac now.
Thank you, Daddy.
Call 1-877-LifeVac or visit lifevac.net.
Dinner on Blanc, Long Island, an all-white outdoor dinner, is returning September 5th at a secret Long Island location. The dinner party will invade a well-known public location on Long Island, and Nassau Community College is a departure point for the secret location. Registration closes September 1st. More information about how you can join the party can be found at longisland.dinneronblanc.com/register.
And we're back. Laughter Saves Lives back. We're back with John Santo. Oh, it's Laura. Hold on a second. Laura, pronounce your last name.
Mering.
I should see if
My
I'm
best
a good
impression
host.
yet.
It's like herring with an M. Mering.
Mering. Laura Mering is here from Northport VA Hospital.
Yes.
You work in the...
Community Living Center.
Didn't you just say you called it nursing?
back in like the 80s, they
Yeah,
called it
how
a nursing
old-fashioned is he,
home.
right?
So now you call it the
now
community
living
But
center.
it's like a nursing home.
It's exactly
long-term
like-
residence.
yes.
It's not the
They're
hospital.
trying to get away
Yes.
from that term.
What?
You put it-
But I want my listeners
know.
to
I know,
understand.
it's
My
funny, though.
viewers.
And now you know why my
Right.
shoulders drop when he headlines.
It's funny though. It's
I want my viewers to understand the facility that we do the show in. So we started doing shows at Northport. Oh, a year ago.
A year ago.
About a
yeah,
year ago.
Close to a year.
And we had a little meeting out there, and I said, listen, I want to bring out my comics. I want to do a good job, but I want more people to see us, because when I did shows out there, like for Rick Morgan and a few other people, they had us in the rehab part of the facility in a little room, and so they suggested the nursing home, and this has been a big success. At least I think so, because we're getting some families too.
Yes.
And what's important about that is a number of things. The families get to laugh with them.
Mm-hmm.
The comics get a little feedback with the laughter, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then it causes them to laugh a little more, the patients,
Right.
So far, on your end, how do you feel about the show? Patty's been out there a number of times.
Well, I think everyone's great, including Pat.
Right.
Fits right in.
All the comedians are
haven't the
wonderful.
veterans been through enough?
I know.
I'm not even talking about the quality of the comics. I'm talking about
John McCain heard Pat's acting. Asked
Or-
for another 2 years.
are the patients receptive? Do they enjoy?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, I talked to a few of them tonight before I was going on the show to let them know I was going on the show. And I said, what did you think about the performance on Saturday? They said it was wonderful. We laughed. We had such a great time. They did a special skit, which was a nice
yeah, you did.
surprise.
Yeah.
And they really, really enjoyed it. Some of them, it's hard for them to say. They can't verbalize
Right.
it, but they really do.
And the way I feel about those, Patty, I didn't want to say something. The way I feel about those patients is they're listening. Some of
Yes,
them, some of them
absolutely.
don't respond.
Yeah.
They
Right.
don't
Yeah.
laugh, but they
Right.
know we're there for them, and they're listening. And maybe they don't have the ability to laugh, but if
Right.
if it's funny and they're getting something out of it, it's worth it.
Right.
It's worth
Absolutely.
it. I'm sorry, Pat. You want to say?
No,
something?
John, I was just going to say I got to give Laura a lot of credit, because the show was on a Tuesday night.
Yes.
And
Yes,
Laura came to
originally.
me and a couple of shows ago, she said, would you guys be open to do it on Saturday, because their families will be here and we can make it like a big family thing for them.
Right.
So naturally, I said, sure. And it's actually worked out pretty good. The show before this, there were 55 people
Wow.
in that
Wow.
atrium. So that-
Initially,
yeah.
what she said is, Pat, you could still come on Tuesday, but we're
But
going to do the
the
show
show
on
on
Saturday.
Saturday, right.
That's
You know
initially
what
what
I
happened.
think we need to do? We need to make like a documentary about this kind of show, like when we're at St. Albans or Northport, where we actually wheel the veteran down sometimes to the show. I think
Well,
that
we
would
did make that video at St. Albans, and we have to get permission
Yeah.
for
You-
Northport.
You might not be allowed to do that.
Oh, okay.
We did
Yeah.
get permission at
Wouldn't
St.
that be
Albans.
nice to,
yes,
like we're talking to the vet on the way to the.
well, what's nice about it is, and I'll get your opinion on this. What's nice is to hear their stories.
stories, right?
They love sharing their stories, and some
Yeah.
of them have no families.
Right.
Some of these guys, and you know what kills me? Oh, we have any visitors? Oh, my kid comes once every few months. Where do they
Right.
live? Astoria.
Right.
You know?
We're in St. Albans, right?
Yeah.
But it is cool, like to hear it, because it's no secret I love aviation, and I had a guy who was like a gunner on a B-25 telling me all about it.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
really
really cool. Yeah.
Before we get deep into the interview, caller, you're on live. Laughter Saves Lives Live. Who's there?
Oh, hi. This is Anthony Casper.
Anthony, how are you?
Hey, Anthony.
Good. I'm pretty good. I was hearing you on the computer.
Yeah, Anthony, thanks for calling in. We just started with our guest, but I wanted you to call in. Quick, 1 minute. Tell us your experience at St. Albans Veterans Hospital the other day. Now, Anthony is very, he's a funky comic. He's a cool guy. He's got the beard. He's young. One of these hip guys that if you went to the village, you'd find him and you would think, he's not going to want to come to do a veteran show. Showed up on Sunday in the middle of his Sunday, grabbed his guitar.
Public transportation.
Public transportation.
He's like Tommy Chong.
Got his
Yes.
guitar stolen twice on the way there.
And tell us about your experience, Anthony.
It was it was interesting. It was one of the it was unlike any show I've done before. They were having a good time. I think I gave them all what they wanted one at a time, but I'm not sure if they got what they wanted from me all at once. But they were cool. They were some of them wanted to hear songs, and some of them wanted to hear jokes, and some of them just wanted to chat while I was trying to do my act. So
Well,
it was just,
well, that's what it's all about.
I knew things were getting interesting when a guy wanted to hear Freebird.
Yeah.
yeah.
And Inagata Davida, that was a little much. Anyway.
Allman Brothers, they wanted at Motown.
Well, we pretty much let them do whatever they want to do. They're entitled.
Well, it's about them, you know. It's I'm just there to try to make their day a little better. So hopefully I did that. They seemed to be happy about it.
No, you did a great job, and I can't thank you enough for coming in on your Sunday afternoon and entertaining our heroes.
Well, thank you for having me. It was an honor.
All right, I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off short because we're running a little behind, and I want to start with our guest.
All right.
I know you got four guest spots tonight in the city anyway. Have a good night, Anthony.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
So, Laura, how did you get started at the Veterans Hospital? How did you end up at the what you're doing now? What is your background?
Well, I'm a recreation therapist, and I received my bachelor's in science. And my mother worked for my now boss. And my mom says, "Oh, you should go on an interview with the VA." I said, "But I love my job." She's like, "Oh, just go."
And what was your job before this?
I worked in another nursing home.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I went on the interview and I got the job and I loved it. And I always had a passion for Northport. I volunteered there as a kid.
Nice.
And my brother is a veteran, my father. So I'm thankful that I worked there. I'm really
Do you
lucky.
bring a lot of young kids in there to relate to the vets and talk to them?
Absolutely. We try to bring in as many kids as we can. We get Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, volunteers all the time. You know, some of the Boy Scouts have to do Eagle Scout projects. I just had a boy build 2 planters for the wheelchair patients so they can plant sitting in their wheelchairs.
I love that Boy Scouts are still doing that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Laura, besides the comedy show, what else do you do for these guys or with these guys?
Entertainment, well,
yeah, you know, as
singers,
far as recreation
right?
is concerned.
Well, myself, I do many activities all day long. I do a lot of music because I think music really speaks to them.
It does.
Yeah. We do an art expression program for our dementia patients.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then
Is that art therapy?
it's not art therapy because I'm not an art therapist, so it's an art expression program. But it's also, I collaborate with the Alzheimer's Research Association.
Right.
So at the end of the 9 months, they have a huge art show. So the veterans are able to go see their artwork as well as all the other facilities' artwork. So
And do you have patients, like I said, with no families?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I'm talking about patients that are with it, that have no family that visits them, and that just, especially the ones that have family, that just tears me apart. I got to tell you, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, and it's going to sound like I am. I was lucky enough. I was a teenager, okay, and my mother was a wonderful lady, but never instilled in me volunteerism. Is that a word?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is
Volunteering.
Volunteerism,
yeah. Never really. We used to run the bazaar sometimes for the church, and I held it there. I don't know what made me do this, but I said to my mother, I want to go and visit a nursing home. I want to visit an old person who has no family. And I think it went back to all of my family. I saw all the love in my family, and I said, there's got to be somebody out there
How
who's
old were
missing.
you when you did that?
I was like 16, 17.
I was drinking beer behind a deli, and you were doing that?
Well,
Overachiever, you're making us all look bad.
and that's not why I said it, Steve. That's not why I said it. The reason I said it is, at a young age, I got so much out of that. Visiting this woman, like she thanked me left and right, and in my head I'm going, she doesn't realize what I'm getting out of this. I'm learning from this woman and listening to her stories, you know, about when she was a kid, and all she ever wanted me to bring her was an egg roll. She loved egg rolls. Millie, and I'm terrible with names. Her name was Millie. One leg.
I mean, not a lot of 16-year-olds do that.
No.
It's not in there.
Absolutely
It's
not.
just being part of being a kid.
On a similar note, when I was 15, I stole my grandmother's car, and I brought it back without crashing it. So
Similar.
Steve.
You know, and,
Oh, Steve,
and again,
look, a chicken.
I didn't tell that story to make me seem like a wonderful person. I told that story because kids can learn. And I sound so old because I used to hear people say this. There's so much you can learn from these people. And the stories that they lived at a time when there was no... My dad, when he... I'm taking away from you, I'm sorry. My dad, when he was a kid...
Welcome to the show.
Lived in an apartment building.
You're the guest on the show.
And shared the phone with the whole building. They only had one phone line.
Wow.
And that's so freaking cool. You know? I'm sorry. So let's get back to you. How is... You have some notes. Did you want to
have notes.
Is there something you wanted to say, like when you go to court? You want to make a statement?
No.
Is there something particular you wanted to say when you came?
Judge John.
You know, I think one of the questions Pat asked, which I thought was a really good question, was...
Can you say it in front of us?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. What is the most rewarding part of your job?
Yes.
And like you said, I get that every day. I go to work and I'm able to put a smile on their face and brighten their day. And it's like it's like the show Cheers. When you walk in, Norm.
Right.
I walk into work, Laura. Everyone knows me. They want to talk to me, you know. And it's just so rewarding to me. So sometimes I feel.
Well, you know what,
selfish.
Laura? I can tell just by the little time that we were talking out there. You have an awesome personality.
Thank you.
And the reason they're Laura is because they want to see you because you're so nice and you're so sweet and you're so, you enjoy being with them. So they're lucky to have you. They're lucky to have you too.
She's so terrific.
Because, I know, and I'm not going to ask you anything personally, but you're not getting rich being a social worker in a hospital doing what you do.
Right.
They make
You don't-
$100,000 a year, I read.
Well, wait a minute, guys. Maybe she has some more notes.
Whatever it is, you're doing it because you love what you do.
I do.
And that
Absolutely.
makes you a special. You're doing God's work. That's a special
Now, do you
person.
work for the? Who do you work for?
you
Veterans
wanna do this,
Affairs, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
so I work for the federal government.
For the federal government.
So for the Veterans Affairs branch, right? So we only take veterans, so we don't do active duty, especially in the nursing home.
And their wives and their spouses?
No
Or
spouses.
No spouses?
No. You have to be a veteran, and in order to stay in the nursing home,
Yeah.
because they live there, they don't have to pay anything to live there. They have to have an injury from their service. So there's a certain standard they have to reach to stay in the nursing home.
Even a mental injury, like?
Oh yeah,
PTSD?
yeah. It doesn't have to be physical. It could
Okay.
be mental, emotional.
Give us a story. Of course, no names. Give us a story about one of the patients, a day he made you smile or laugh, something that he did that was kind of like, out of the ordinary that made your day.
Well, I would say right before I came here,
Yes.
I thought I was going to be late, but I was walking out and I see one of the veterans, John, and I said, "Oh, sorry, John, I'm not doing my usual program tonight. I'm going to be on," I thought, the radio. Here I am on TV.
I said TV.
I was like looking at the directions. I'm like, "Wait, that says TV. You must have wrote it wrong." And I said, "I'm a little nervous." He's like, "Laura, just remember." And he gave me this wonderful pep talk. And it was so nice and so sweet of him to do that. And,
how old is he?
he's probably in his 70s.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's very with it, and he's very sweet and charming. And they're just so wonderful. They're all so wonderful.
You know,
They are.
with
Yeah.
these shows, I've done 2 or 3. Like we always say, we in general we don't like use blue language or anything off out of line, But sometimes, comics who do it say, "Oh, what can I say at these veteran shows?"
Right.
And you sit back and you go, like I said, we try not to be. But these are guys, men and women, that are not. These are guys, people who have been Korean War, Vietnam War,
Absolutely.
maybe Gulf War. These are
They're tough men.
knock around.
Yeah.
They are.
So, and with a lot of life experience.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's nothing they haven't heard before. Again,
Yeah.
Exactly.
they use it, but
Right.
they have a lot to say.
Right.
So
Well, what do you find the most difficult part of your job or your day is?
staring at your shirt.
I think I just run out of time during the day. I just never have enough time. Like I had one veteran that said, "Oh, Laura, I really want to talk to you. Can you sit and talk to me for a few minutes?" And I said yes. And I wish I could have stayed with him for an hour.
Yeah.
I really do. But I
I think that's
just
the
never
same
have
in
enough
all
time.
healthcare now. Like my wife, works at the
horrible.
hospital, and they just cut her whole department in half.
Yeah.
I had to leave yesterday. I had when we did the show, right? Sunday.
Is that a pun? I had to leave yesterday.
No. But the gentleman that was talking throughout the show, okay, he was a little younger than everybody else.
Right.
And I went downstairs because I pushed one of the veterans downstairs. He wanted to go outside for a little while, and the other guy was down there who was talking. He starts talking to me. Turns out he was a professional fighter, and I'm a huge boxing fan. And we got to talking, and I had to leave. Me and Anthony were going to the train station.
Steve has a face for boxing. Did you know?
Oh no, I didn't.
He has a face for boxing. Yes.
After this segment,
She's not even getting my jokes.
Well, that joke would have been funny.
She's trying to be on best behavior here.
I know.
That joke would have been funny if we talked about it on that one phone booth that was in John's dad's building in 1934. But when I was leaving, I could have stayed and talked to him for hours.
I know.
And when I was leaving, he goes, you're going to be back next month. I says, yeah. And I felt bad. I could tell he wanted to talk more, but I just had to go.
Right. I know.
So,
I know, it's tough.
There's one guy at St. Albans. Now I've learned. He talks about he's a singer, and all the great people he sang with. I sang with Sinatra. I found out that he makes the whole thing
and makes
up.
it all up.
He makes it all up, and it doesn't matter. You're sitting there like, oh yeah. He goes, look me up. And
I'm not
the
sure
nice.
if this guy was that. Same thing.
Well, you showed me a picture though, didn't you?
Yeah, it looked like him.
Yeah,
And he had all the facts.
Yeah.
He knew his stuff.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have talked to him more. Like I said, I felt bad. So like you said, you get that all the time.
Right.
I met a woman that they called her Rosie the Riveter. I was at a veterans thing at the. I was actually covering Eric Lindbergh's flight. He recreated his grandfather's flight in 2002, and her daughter pulled me aside, and I thought she was the one from the, the commercial with the poster.
Right.
So the daughter pulled me aside. She goes, all the women that worked on the assembly line then were called Rosie the Riveter.
Rosie the Riveter.
Oh, really?
But she never corrects anybody.
That's how they sold
she
you.
was
That's how they
adorable.
sold the war bonds.
Right.
Was
That,
Rosie
but I
the Riveter?
thought she was the one. That
Right.
one.
Oh, you thought she was the model
Right.
for the thing.
Right,
I see.
but she said no. My mother worked for Fairchild for 40 years, but she wasn't. They were all called Rosie the Riveter. I
That
thought
was
she was
Pat's.
the Rosie the Riveter.
That was Pat's name on the dating site. Welding.
All right, so one night in the Poconos. I don't want to bring it up, okay?
Welding.com.
Laura,
Yes.
some of these
Thanks,
guys
John.
are really in tough shape, and there's a lot of sins. How are you able to detach from not bringing this home? I mean, you have a family, you have little ones. I met your 3 beautiful children. How are you able to
How much
separate?
research did you do for this segment?
No, she had,
Stop stalking our guests, Pat.
she had her children there Saturday because she was taking them.
I thought you went to her house or yard.
No, my kids love to come to my job. They really do.
Her daughter
Oh,
asked
they
the most
must love it.
adorable question in the world. I'll tell you later, but
Tell us now.
Johanna is her name?
Johanna.
Johanna, a little beautiful blonde,
years
blue-eyed
old.
girl. She comes up and Laura goes, my daughter wants to ask you a question. I said, all right, go ahead, sweetheart. I said, what's the name of the fire hydrant? And I said, what, sweetie? She goes, the fire hydrant, does he have a name? I said, oh, God. I said, how about Freddie? No. I said, well, how
does have a
about,
name.
Laffy? No. So she said, I want to call it Laughter. I said, okay, and I forgot Johnny Pop.
And it's Johnny Plug or
Johnny.
JP for the record. We haven't shared that enough.
Thank God you didn't put eyebrows above it, because that could go from a smiley to like a horror movie thing. Really.
Yeah.
I know.
Do you have to train to work specifically with like older veterans or veterans with those kind of issues in social work, or?
No, actually, what I do is I try to do training for specific areas where I've been placed. So I've been in the nursing home and the CLC for probably about close to 8 years. So I try to attend like geriatrics conferences and things that relate to that area. If I'm working in mental health, I'll go for training in that area and conferences in that area.
Depends on the needs of the people you're dealing with.
Right.
Hold on one second, Laura. Hold on. Joe, is that you?
Yeah, it's me.
All right, hold on for 1 second. We're just wrapping up with Laura. Is there anything that you want to close with? Anything you want to say about the facility or anybody there? Or
Well, I would just love to say the VA is a wonderful place. My family goes there. I love working there. My sister works there as well. And any veteran, if you need help, just come to the VA and we'll help you. And I love this program. You guys come and you put a smile on their face.
Oh, thanks.
And I know I'm always in the background cheering and clapping because some of them can't. But I think this is a real great cause that you're doing. I'm so happy you came to us.
And you're lucky, they're lucky they have you. I know that for a fact, right? Am I right, guys? I mean,
Of course.
so thank you for coming in. I know it was a little bit out of your way.
No problem.
We loved having you. And let's hear it for Laura.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Northport, VA.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. You can hang out. Well, you can hang out. You want to read that commercial, and then we'll get Joe.
Yeah,
on.
I'll read the commercial.
We're going to read a commercial, Joey, then we'll bring you on. Joe is
Sounds good.
Tell me when to go.
Let Laura read the commercial.
You could probably read it better. No, I'm just kidding. You read it.
We just lost our sponsor.
Okay, established in 2003, MCN Duct Cleaning LLC
MCN
is the end result of many years of research, continuing education, and determination. With a background in HVAC or HVAC systems and working for an HVAC company for over 13 years, Matthew Nichols realized the need to provide a better, cleaner, and safer environment, not only for his own family, but for the families in his community. MCN has now expanded to both Suffolk and Nassau County, provides service for both residential and commercial properties. Their goal is to be #1 source for the HVAC cleaning and provide high quality service not only the first time, but every time. Phone them if you need duct cleaning done. 631-885-5736. MCN Duct Cleaning, giving our friend Matt a call.
Matt is a good man. He is a friend. Really cares about his business and is a supporter of Laughter Saves Lives. So give him a call.
He knows what he's doing.
On the phone, we have
ducks, Matt.
retired FDNY. My buddy, I worked with him. Joe Napoli is here calling in.
All right, Joe.
Joe was supposed to be here, but he wanted me actually to call him to confirm it. I thought mental telepathy would get him here, but it didn't get him here, so he called in. Joey, thanks for calling in.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
So you have a background, Joe, in this, and Joey's kind of tying into the Veterans Hospital and Vets. Joe has a background. You have an interest, shall we say, in memorabilia from World War II?
No, my collection actually starts with Spanish American War stuff, and I pretty much collect up into the Vietnam era.
Okay.
And and what I do is
No, we're listening to you.
Oh, okay. And what I do is, when I have the opportunity, I bring out my collection. I show it to veterans, and it brings back a lot of memories for them. I actually own an antique. I actually own a World War II vehicle that I use at the museum. That we all put. It's so the veterans come out, and I get in touch with the veterans, and the veterans get in touch with what we do. I listen to their stories, and however I can help, I help. Recently, with the 100-year anniversary of World War I, this year, what I did is I'm collecting. There's a story. I started a group, and we're called the New York 77th Infantry Division Living Historical Group, and we're a Facebook page, and we've been to a couple of places on the island, Sagamore Hill, Westbury Gardens. And what we do is we put out a World War I display. And the reason why I picked this division is because it was run by a Medal of Honor commander. His name was Charles Whittlesey. And he fought 4 days in the Argonne Forest. The casualties, the Germans were sending them like notes to give up. And the note, was in the Smithsonian that how he wasn't going to give up. They actually let go a bird, one of the messenger birds, and the birds were able to get through. And when it got to the Allied lines, it had it lost one of its legs and a hole in its wing. That's also in the Smithsonian. And the bird told them that they were going to fight their way to the Clearview, hence the Clearview Expressway.
Oh,
so the unit has a lot of New York history.
All right, Joe.
And
Maybe if I had that information, I would have got out of the ticket that I got there a couple weeks ago.
Joe, let me ask you this. Now, you have all this memorabilia. You have some of it out. You mentioned the museum. That's the what do they call it? The Armor Museum. in Bethpage?
Yeah, I've had stuff. Yeah, I have stuff on display now in the American Armament Museum. I had stuff on display in other museums.
You have a lot of cooking equipment, correct?
I do. I was doing. I was full into doing the living history part of it, and like you know what I mean. 9/11, entered my life, and when you do these things, there were people that make believe they were getting shot and taking hits, and I couldn't do that anymore. It was hard for me to deal with, but I still had the love for it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is I became the cook, and that's what I do. And I collected all the cooking stuff.
Hey, Joe,
and what I was trying to say is now Charles Whittlesey, the guy from World War I, threw himself off a boat in 1921. He killed himself. So what we do is we bring attention to PTSD and suicide prevention through living history in this World War I in the 77th.
Joe, is that accent, is that a Texas accent you have?
Yeah, South Texas.
Hey, Joe, a lot of, with the exception of Nancy and John, most of the guys here think the Spanish-American War was when Ricky Ricardo smacked Lucy for not cleaning the apartment. What year was that? In the 1800s?
The Spanish-American War?
Yeah.
Yeah, Span Am War. Yeah, Span Am War was.
1803.
They were still, and they were so, unprepared. They were wearing wolves. Well, everybody else, and when they were fighting in Cuba in the Span Am War. They were wearing cottons. We were wearing wolves.
Oh,
it was crazy.
And let's get to the most
do you know that most guys, and then from the Spanish-American War, more guys died of influenza back on the island on Montauk than they did in the actual war.
On where?
In Montauk.
Montauk, Long Island?
Yeah. They disembarked at Montauk and they came back there, and more guys died of flu waiting to go home than they did in the battle.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
why you get your flu shot. October.
Let's talk about
Let's talk about
the cooking aspect of it.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the meals that they used to cook, let's say during the Spanish-American War? What would an average soldier get as a meal?
Not Mexican food.
Rice-a-roni, I'd say.
Well, back then, believe it or not, that was the
Taco Bell?
Obviously anything that they can get, from local farmers and stuff. But a lot of the stuff that was come over at the time was canned, and from history, bad meat in the can.
Joe,
Joe, come on now.
Joe, this is President Trump. If we had a war
I'm sorry.
to stop the Mexicans,
You got to take the ground balls.
wouldn't that have stopped the war? I thought that would have been terrific.
We wouldn't have had to build a wall.
Did they
All
have
right, so-
Did they have taquitos? 7-Eleven taquitos back then?
It was the
Say
Taco
that
Bell
again?
war. Taco Bell.
Let me ask you a question,
I
Joe.
thought
and
Taco
this
Bell was a
this is
Mexican
one that
phone
everyone
company.
wants to know. All Americans have been wondering this for years. Was chip beef, was it as bad as they say?
It was. No, actually, I made that. We have at the American Army Museum, we have a World War II weekend in the first 2 weeks of April, and what I did is I made that. Fondly known to the guys that shit on the shingle,
Yeah.
Right.
and they like it. They liked it. I
John did that to his house last
I
week.
made
It
it
was
with
a
a
little
twist, and the guys are loving it. As veterans come up, they know the smell, and it's really not as bad as you think it is.
It's on toast?
What they really don't like is the spam.
Spam?
Yeah.
All right, so
I
you,
usually delete that from my inbox.
how did you
Very
make?
easy.
Did you make the chip beef? Was it authentic? How they used to make it back in the day?
I'm bombing today, boy.
Yeah, I have all the cookbooks.
You have all the what?
Lucy does.
I have all the cookbooks.
Okay, so how would you make it? What's in it?
It down to how many troops you cook it for, and how much. What do you yield?
What kind of beef do they use for chip beef?
Beef.
Well, they used a lot of times they used ground. They used ground beef. I actually used corned beef this year. It was delicious.
Well, because it was corned beef.
Yeah.
Laura, we have Laura here, Joe, from the Veterans Hospital out in Northport. She works in the I was going to call it nursing home, but
Community living center.
community living center nursing home. Do you have a question for Joe?
Do I have a question for Joe?
I don't want to put you on the
do you
spot.
use the VA? Does Joe go to the VA?
Do you go to the VA at all, Joe? Any of the hospitals?
No.
Do you think?
No, I don't.
Could you see a use for that? Like the guys would like that? You think?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would
Joe,
love
you
to
want to
have-
work something out where you come out to
Come
Northport
out,
with us one
yeah,
day
do a little
and
cooking with me?
Absolutely.
yeah?
That would be
Oh,
very
there you
cool.
go. Okay, maybe we can.
All right, we'll set that up.
Yeah.
Joe, with that shit on a shingle thing, John was cleaning his roof gutters last week and had an incident.
Uh-huh.
What do you think? Power wash is the best way to get that off?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know what I mean. It depends how long it's been sitting. It's like it's like bird crap on a windshield.
That's a good
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If-
good point.
Initially, the wipers are going to do it, but then after a while, the wipers just don't work.
Joe, I have a question for you. Do you have any original 48-star flags in your collection?
Good one, Joe. Good one.
Original what?
48-star flag?
Well, yes, I do.
Before Puerto Rico.
Why? There's more than 48 stars on a flag now.
There's 50 because
You're kidding!
We added Alaska and Hawaii.
We did.
President Trump, what do we think about Alaska?
Losers.
I don't know. I'll ask.
People that aren't that cold.
I got that last about a
I love the 48-star flag because all the stars are in a row. It's
Yeah.
an even row. It's 8x6 as opposed to 7, 6, 7, 6, 7.
What is your Joe? What is your favorite piece of memorabilia that you have? Did I say memorabilia right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a
just don't say it
memorabilia.
again.
Yeah.
You can't.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm liking the right now. I'm putting a lot of interest towards the World War I stuff because I'm collecting. I've got my hands on like communication stuff, and just to imagine, it's dated 1914, and to imagine that guys are using this in the trenches in Europe is to communicate with each other, and it's still probably in working condition. I wonder the stuff they're making today is going to last 100 years.
No. How did they ever cook in their helmets?
Sure.
Boiled water, usually washed.
Because you see that in some movies, don't you? Where they no,
Yeah,
Steve,
I
movies.
took a bath in the
Yeah.
sink as a kid, so
Yeah.
I understand.
Joe, I found a World War II victory medal at a
Nice.
antique fair that my wife made me go to. It was the only interesting thing I saw for 2 days. I bought it because my grandfather was in World War II, so I have it next to his flag from his casket
Nice.
in the case.
Nice.
Case. So are those very common? I mean, I only paid like $7. The guy, I gave him 10 because he was a veteran. So
You're a big spend.
I'm a big
Yeah,
spend.
they're common because
They're very common,
when you served in World War II, when you were discharged, everybody got a victory medal.
Everybody got one, right? That's
Oh.
awesome.
Right. If you
Oh.
served in the
Yeah.
European theater, everybody got a European theater medal. Same thing with the Pacific. You had a Pacific theater medal.
Now he was in Japan. He was in the occupation force. So
Uh-huh.
is there a medal for that too?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, occupation, and then he would get a
gotta
Pacific
find
theater
that
campaign medal.
Joe,
Plus his other stuff.
I gotta find
Good
that one.
conduct or whatever.
Yeah.
You can, it's very easy to look him up and see what he was awarded, and do the history on a veteran.
Yeah,
We've helped a
my
bunch of people
grandfather
do
didn't
it.
see combat, but he always talked about my uncle that he did see a lot of combat. When I went to my uncle's funeral, he had like the Silver Star. My aunt didn't even know because she never talked about it. But when I saw the medals, I'm not an expert, but I knew some of the medals were high on the significance level. I was like, oh my God, he got a Silver Star, he got this. I was like, these are beyond the normal.
Yeah.
participation
My uncle Bob
medal.
Polk was on the beaches.
Hey
of
Joe,
Iwo
a
Jima.
Civil War. My dad gave me when I was a kid a Civil War replica gun. It's a Civil War gun, okay, and it has the little gunpowder, and it's a replica gun. That's probably my favorite artifact. That and my Led Zeppelin velvet poster that I have in the basement.
You still have that?
Which is worth more. You better believe it, Nancy. I got one.
It's Laura. It's Laura. Her name is Laura.
I mean,
Laura, not Nancy.
No, her best friend is Nancy.
Yes.
You must have known.
Joe, I'm curious. What is this military vehicle you have?
Yeah. You got a tank?
I own. Basically, it's a mini tank.
It's a tank?
It's a
tank.
1944 Studebaker, and it's an amphibious vehicle.
Really?
It was,
Amphibious vehicle?
It was made. It's made to forge rivers and ponds, and they actually landed on all the major theaters. There's photos of them on Iwo Jima.
Wow.
There's photos of them being landed on D-Day. It's a very interesting vehicle. They were produced very quickly by Studebaker.
Where? Do you know where?
Where was Studebaker? I forgot where Studebaker
They make
was.
cars,
Yeah, in the
though,
United States.
Yeah.
Yeah,
After
Studebaker
World
was an
War II.
American company, and because what happened was, I believe it was like 44, early 44. The Americans and the Canadians put together a special unit to go in and blow up the hot water plants in Germany. And while they were planning, so to do that, they designed these vehicles, and the first, like 1,500 of these vehicles, or I think even less than that, had detonation boxes in them. So if they ever broke down, they had to blow them up in the field.
Now, were they blowing up the hot
Yeah,
water
it's
plants?
pretty interesting. So then what happened was D-Day happened, and they never had to go in and blow up the hot water factories because they got to them that way.
Were they blowing up those hot water factories because the Germans made bad bagels? Because that's
Well, I don't think the Germans are big on the
Anybody get
bagels. Just a guess.
Oh, that's a good point.
Right.
Yeah, it's
There's hot
Yeah,
water,
get
you
out.
know, pizza and
Yeah,
bagels.
no.
Why? Is bagels a Jewish food?
Yeah, and I don't think the Germans were
Is
too big
is
on that.
pasta an
just a
Italian
guess.
food?
Yes.
I
Invented
don't
by the
think it was-
Chinese.
There you go.
Folks, that was a hot water joke, Joe.
Originally.
Yeah. There's a long way to go.
They didn't make
And
cars.
Celts are Scottish, not Irish. I don't get that.
No, Steve, no cars were made during World War II.
But the Studebaker was a
They
car.
converted, no, but
That was a
It was a
car,
car
right?
company.
Traditionally,
No,
I
but
remember.
The Studebaker was a Studebaker was a car, right? The Studebaker.
Okay.
But
I thought it
for 4
wasn't a
years,
good
But
Chrysler,
during
all
the
those companies made-
war years, he's right. Nobody really went into
They weren't allowed.
a
It was
all
Pepsi
Jeeps,
car
tanks,
production.
yeah.
Everything was
They
war
went into
production.
war
4
production.
years, right.
Well, listen, Joe, we got to wrap it up. I thank you for calling in. I'm sorry about the screw up. Next time you come in studio, we'll have some fun with you.
And bring some memorabilia, because we're all
Yeah.
Can you
God,
bring
yeah,
anything?
yeah.
Can you bring anything?
Interesting stuff,
God.
Joe.
the tank.
Yeah. Forget about what I can bring. Forget
Joe,
about
you can't
it.
come to
Bring live ammunition.
And some
grenades,
food. Bring some chip beef.
explosives, guns.
Bring us the toe of a German soldier.
All right, and bring the vehicle. Pull up in the Studebaker.
Yeah.
Pull up in the Studebaker. Pull up to the Veterans Hospital in the Studebaker.
Big
This is
shit
good,
like
man,
tank
they want
shells
that.
we like, all that stuff.
Thank you, Joe. Have a nice night. Thanks for
All right,
calling
everybody
in.
have a good night.
Let's thank
God
Laura, guys, for coming in.
Laura, I said Nancy, I'm
She
sorry.
has. That's all right. Nancy came too. She has 3 children.
Yes.
She took the time out to come here to our dopey little show, so we appreciate it. Next week we have another guest. 2 guests next week. I don't know who they are yet because I never prepare ahead of time.
They're not going to top Laura, baby. They're not
No,
gonna
not even Nancy. I think it's Nancy next week. That's what it is. Next week,
Laura.
Nancy.
Oh, are we
Nancy
done?
either.
Are we done?
Yeah. You didn't do your segment again.
We didn't even talk about all week.
Do we have any more time? Or we're good?
I bet you it's too much. Want to hear about this football?
Hold on, let's do it next week first thing. I'm
tell the
sorry.
guests
Caller,
about-
we have 30 seconds. Who's calling
He
in?
can give us a tease about next week.
Who do you think is calling in? I've been waiting on the
Muriel.
line for like an
God
hour.
damn it.
Why
it's
do you wait till the
Muriel.
last minute, Muriel? Go ahead. You got 30 seconds.
Well, I just want to say that I was there in World War II, so I found that very interesting.
You sound
and I
very
just
old,
want to
Muriel.
I want to commend you on a few things. One, asking hard-hitting interview questions like, "Did they cook in a helmet?" And 2, for finally doing the right thing and putting Steve on camera and taking Santo off camera.
I knew that was coming.
That's just.
Muriel, what
You
did
could-
you do
you-
in the
Muriel.
war?
Oh, let Muriel go. Let Muriel go.
You were able to fit a whole nother person on screen without that guy, so it worked out well.
Jeez,
Can I
Muriel.
give her the finger? Or is this...
No.
Okay.
It's an old lady.
It's an old lady. I'm sorry,
Okay,
Muriel.
well, I
know
just
you're
want to
probably
say I
old
love
and
you
you'll be
all,
dead
John.
soon.
I'm only kidding with you. I meant LaRocchia, Santo. I mean every word I say. And
Yeah,
I
pick
just
on him
want
for
you
a
all to know
while.
that you're my favorites. You're my favorites, and
Oh,
and
you're a doll,
I also
Muriel.
like. I guess it's a thing that you guys need to have one bald person on the panel, so Santo's out, the other guy's in. Makes a lot of sense.
Thank you,
Muriel,
Muriel.
if you're
We
on-
gotta go. We
All right,
gotta
have a
go,
wonderful
Muriel.
night.
Thanks for calling in. Good night, everybody. We're going to the Master Penguin Diner. What?
Old leather gloves, we're slapping in hands. Popcorn and peanuts, we're working the stands. Pink cotton candy, love on a stick. Who's chasing the beer? The circle the lips play ball.